Today we are focusing on parabolas that open left or right. So this is the equation that we used yesterday, and today's equation will be the one below it. You'll notice that x and y have traded places and h and k have traded places. Also today, if a is positive, it opens right, and if a is negative, it opens to the left. Think about an x, y coordinate system. For the positive x values, those are on the right. The negative x values are on the left. Okay, so for number 1, first we would find the vertex. Now, yesterday we did opposite, same. Now, it's still the same. You still take the opposite of the number on the inside, but that is now your y-coordinate. So the opposite of -2 is +2, but that's my y-coordinate today. The 3 on the outside, we don't do the opposite of that number, but that's my x-coordinate. So my vertex is here at 3, 2. And my a value is 1 because there is no number in front of the parentheses. But instead of going up 1, up 3, up 5, since this is a sideways parabola, I'm going to go right 1, right 3, right 5. So I go right 1, up 1, right 1, down 1. Then from those points, I go right 3, up 1, and right 3, down 1. And I don't have room to go right 5, so my parabola looks like that. Okay, for number 2, you'll notice that now there's an a value that is -2. So that means that that opens to the left. Okay, so our vertex is at -1, -3. So remember, we still do opposite and same, but the -1 is my x-coordinate, and the -3 is my y-coordinate. So I go to -1, -3. That's my vertex. And instead of going down 2, down 6, down 10, I'm going to go left 2, left 6, left 10. Remember, the normal pattern is 1, 3, 5, but I'm going to multiply all those numbers by -2. And for sideways parabolas, negative doesn't mean down, negative means left. So first thing I do is I go left 2, up 1, and left 2, down 1. Then, if I have room, I would go left 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Takes me barely off the graph. And left 6, down 1. So my parabola would look like that. Okay, for number 3, similar to yesterday when we solved for y, today we're going to solve for x. So our goal is to get it in this form, x equals, so the a stays in the same place, and instead of x inside the parentheses, it's y, and k goes with y, not h, and the h goes on the outside. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is factor out, well, put those in parentheses, factor out a 3. So that makes y squared plus 2y. Leave a gap. Okay, so what number goes in that gap? We take the b value, which is 2. Divide that by 2 makes 1, and squaring the 1 gives us 1. If I add a 1 there, that 1 gets multiplied by positive 3. So to undo a positive 3, we have to subtract 3 on the end. Okay, factoring, we get 3 parentheses y plus 1 squared minus 8. So that's our equation in standard form. The vertex would be -8, -1. The axis of symmetry. So the axis of symmetry now is going to be a horizontal line. Horizontal lines have an equation that starts with y equals, and now we take the -1. A is positive, so positive x values are on the right. So this opens right. Okay, on number 4, we have to put that in the right order. Remember, we want to solve for x because you're going to solve for whichever term is not squared. So y is squared, so we're going to solve for x. X equals -y squared plus 8y minus 20. Group the y's together. Take out the negative sign. Y squared minus 8y. Leave a gap. Okay, so now we complete the square. Take the b value of -8. Dividing it by 2 makes -4. Squaring that makes positive 16. Okay, now it looks like I added 16, but that 16 is going to get hit by the negative sign. So we really added a -16. So to undo that, I have to add 16 on the end. Okay, factoring, I get negative y minus 4 squared minus 4. The vertex would be -4, positive 4. The axis of symmetry would be y equals 4. And the direction of opening is, okay, A is -1, so this opens left because negative x values are on the left. For number 5, the first thing we want to do is graph the given information. So the vertex is at 4, -1. And the directrix is the line x equals 3, which is a vertical line. Okay, the focus has to be equidistant. That is, the distance from the vertex to the directrix has to be the same as the distance from the vertex to the focus. So if the vertex and directrix are 1 unit apart, then the focus has to be 1 unit from the vertex as well. So it's right there. We know that the parabola wants to eat the focus, so this parabola is going to open to the right. So next thing we have to do is find A. We know that 1 over 4A equals the distance from the vertex to the focus. And the distance from the vertex to the focus is 1. And we're going to use positive 1 because we use positive A values when it opens to the right. So A equals 1/4. And now we have everything we need for the equation. The vertex is at HK. And today we use the formula that has x on the left side. X equals A. Y goes with K. So y minus K is y plus 1. And on the outside we have H. So that's our equation. And then now we just need to graph it. Let's graph this one using the lattice rectum method. The length of the lattice rectum is 4 times the distance from the vertex to the focus. That distance is 1. So if the lattice rectum is 4 units long, that means from the focus it goes up 2 and it goes down 2. Okay, now for number 6, we start out the same way. For number 6, first we graph the focus at -3, 2. And the directrix is the line x equals 1. This is the first problem where we are not given the vertex. So we know the vertex has to be midway between the focus and directrix. So since the focus and directrix are 4 units apart, the vertex has to be in the middle, so 2 units from both. So there's our vertex. The parabola is going to eat the focus, so the parabola is going to open left. 1 over 4A equals the distance from the vertex to the focus. And because this opens left, we want a negative A value. So the distance is 2, but I'm going to write -2. Solving for A, we get -1/8. And we have to get HK from our picture. So the coordinates of the vertex on the graph is -1, 2. That's my H and K value. Sideways parabolas start with x equals A. Inside the parentheses we have y minus k, so y minus 2. Outside the parentheses we have the h value. Okay, now we just have to graph the parabola. And let's find the lattice rectum. The lattice rectum equals 4 times the distance from the vertex to focus. So 4 times 2. The lattice rectum is 8 units long, which means from the focus. The lattice rectum always goes through the focus. It goes 4 units down, and it goes 4 units up, which takes us a little bit off the graph. Okay, we have one more problem. Okay, number 7 on your paper. We have a satellite dish that follows the form y equals ax squared. Assume that the bottom of the upward facing dish passes through 0, 0, and the distance from the bottom to the focus point is 8 inches. Okay, so they tell us it passes through 0, 0 at the bottom. They also tell us that the focus is 8 units from the bottom. Normally we use this this equation for parabolas that open up. But since they tell you that the vertex is 0, 0, if you plug in 0 for h and 0 for k, you end up with y equals ax squared. So all we really have to find is a. We know that 1 over 4a equals the distance from vertex to focus. They tell us that distance equals 8. So solving for a, we get a equals 1 over 32. And now we just have to take that value, plug it in there, and we're done. So the final answer is y equals 1 over 32 x squared.